Hello soulmate, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial video, I'll be teaching you guys or sharing with you guys how to do the pattern drafting and the cutting of this beautiful dress you're seeing on your screen. This is what I created, as you can see. And then in our next tutorial video, I'll be uploading the sewing part of this dress. So let's dive right into it. So I've already ruled out all the lines, as you can see. So I'm going to be labeling it for you guys to see. This first line is our shoulder line, our chest line, our bust line, under bust line, and then our waistline. Why this is the extra inches I added for our backs. That's the last line there. So to get started, I've taken my shoulder measurement, which is 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5. I've indicated it, and then I'll be using 4 inches for my neck width. For my neck depth, I'll be using 7 inches for my neck depth. I've already indicated it. And on the shoulder point, I'm going to be coming down by, before I do that, I'm going to rule a straight line from the shoulder to, from the neck width to the neck depth. I use a straight line, making like a V-shaped neckline, as you can see. And then from the shoulder point, I came down by 0.75 inches, and I'm going to connect it to make my neck width to form our shoulder slope. And then I'm going to be taking the measurement on my shoulder, also on my chest line, in order for us to create our armhole. And then I'm going to be using my straight rule. Before that, to get your chest line length or your armhole length, you divide your round bust measurement by 6, and whatever you get, you add 1.5. When I did mine, I had 7.5, and that's what I used for mine. That's how I get my chest line. So now I'm going to be taking my round bust circumference, which is 35 divided by 4. I have 8.75. So now I'm going to be dividing my armhole line by 2, and then whatever I get at that point, I'm going to be coming out by 1/2 inch. So I'll be using my curve rule now to connect all the 3 points together, as you can see. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, you don't understand the English I'm speaking, just look at what I'm doing, and I promise you, you will understand. So now I've gotten our armhole curve. So the next thing we're going to be doing now is to take our nipple to nipple measurements. My client nipple to nipple is 4. Is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So I'm marking 4. I mark it on the bust line, the under bust line, on the waistline, and also on the back line. So now I'm using my straight ruler to connect all the lines together, as you can see. I'm sorry that the end part of this pattern paper is not showing. Please bear with me. So on the under bust line, on the waistline, I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch on both sides for my dart. Then I'll be connecting it to meet my bust line. So I took 1/2 inch that I took on my under bust. I also did it on my waistline, and also take 1/2 inch on both sides of the dart leg on my back line. So I'm going to be connecting a straight line, as you can see me doing, from the under bust all the way down to the back line. So the next I'm going to do, I'm going to be using a curve rule to connect from the bust point to meet the under bust. So I've done that. So now I'm going to be taking my body measurement. So I'll be taking my round bust measurement, which is 35 divided by 4, which is 7.25. Then after doing that, I'll be adding my seam allowance, which is 2.5. And then I also take my round waist measurement, which is 29 divided by 4. It is 7.25, and I'll also indicate it. I'll mark 7.25, and then 1 inch dart, I'll replace it back. And then I also had 2.5 for my seam allowance. So for the back effect, I'll be using my round hip measurement for that, which is 40 divided by 4 is 10, and I'll be replacing my 1 inch and also 2.5 for my seam allowance. And then I'll be using my curve rule to join all the points together, as you can see. First connect from my shoulder line to meet my waistline, and then from my waistline to meet the back line or the hip line. So after doing that, I'm going to be using my curve rule now to create a box effect. So I did learn mine to be as long as what you see on the screen. I did learn mine to be as long as the hip line that I measured. So I just came down from my waistline by 5 inches, and then on my on the center I came down by 5 inches. On the side of my waist I came down by 2 inches. So I'm going to be using my curve rule to connect from the waist, from the 2 inches point I came down by on the sides to the 5 inches point I came down by on the waistline. So I use my curve rule to just make a slight curve. I didn't want the bags to be too deep, so this is what we have. So I'm going to be adding, I decided to go up a little bit. I went in by half of an inch, so I connected it to meet the neckline. So that's what you're seeing on your screen. And then from that half inch I came in by on the neckline. Try to indicate that it's exactly the half inch. From that half inch I came in by, I'm going to be using my curve rule to create like a cup. From that half inch point I came in by to my under bust, as you can see. So I'm trying to make sure that the curve is perfect, then I'll draw it out. Sorry, my hand is covering it, so this is how it looks like after I was done drawing it out. So I'm also going to create another cup on the armhole, but a little cup. Then on under bust line towards the sides I went up by 1 inch, so I use my curve rule to make a small cup from that place to meet the under bust point, as you can see. So that's how we have it looking like. I'm going to be adding half inch on my shoulder like I always do for my shoulder joining. Then I'll use my ruler to draw it out. So next thing I'm going to be doing now, I've already cut out, as you can see. Sorry, I cut it out off camera. And then I also went ahead to close my darts on the from the under bust to the end. Now I'm going to divide this pattern paper into two, because the dress you see on the thumbnail is the cup area is gathered. So in order for us to get that gather effect, so we need to divide the cup into two. So I've closed mine. I went ahead to close the dart I have on the dress, because the dress does not have a dart, as you see on the thumbnail. So I've gone ahead to cut it into two. So this is the second pattern paper that I'm going to be using to create the new cup slash sleeve, because the cup is, there's a gather at the base and also the gather at the shoulder, as you can see. So this is the pattern paper. The pattern paper was a bit small, so I went ahead to bring a bigger one or a longer one. So I'll be taping it, or I'll be using my pin to hold it down to the new pattern paper. So I just use my pin to pin it down, and then so the distance I had was 7 inches. You can use as many as you want, so you can use 5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches, but I use 7 inches for mine. So I'm not trying to use my ruler to like connect it on the pattern paper. Like I said, if you don't understand what I'm saying, please look at what I'm doing, and then you achieve what we have on our thumbnail. So I cut my masking tape to like hold it in place, as you can see. So I'm gonna have to cut it out. So this is our new cup. It's a bit bigger so that it will be able to be ruched, and we'll put our drawstring. Now we're drafting the back pattern. I've already ruled out all the lines for the back pattern drafting. I've also ruled out my zipper allowance. So I'm taking my shoulder measurements divided by 2, which is 7.5, and then my neck width, I use 4 inches on my neck width. And for the neck depth at the back, I use 8 inches for my neck depth at the back. Sorry, the video is a bit blurry. My phone will just be doing the most. And then I'm going to use a straight ruler to connect from the neck width to the neck depth, forming a V neckline. So on the shoulder, I came down by 0.75, and I'll be connecting it to meet our neck width to get our shoulder slope. So I'll take the same measurement I have on the shoulder on the chest line, then I'll connecting the 2 points together with a straight ruler, and then I'll divide what I have by 2, and then at that point where I did the division, I'll come in by 1/2 inch in order for us to get our armhole curve. Like I always say, to get your armhole curve, to get your armhole line, divide your armhole by 6, divide your round bust circumference by 6, and whatever you get, add 1.5 to it, and that's how you get your shoulder to your chest line. So I'm going to have to rule out my armhole line. Now I'm going to be taking my nipple points. So from the zipper allowance line, I take 4 inches, and then on the base I also took 4 inches, and I'm using my ruler to make a straight rule all the way down, and then I'm going to be using my ruler to also indicate the dot. So this is it. So now I'm going to take my round body measurement. My round body measurement divided by 4. I indicated it, and I added my sewing allowance, and then my round width measurement divided by 4. I indicated it on my waistline, and I also added my sewing allowance, and I also replaced the dot. Now I'm connecting all the points together. So like what I did at the front, that's what I'm also doing at the back to get my back's effects. On the waistline, on the sides, I came down by 2 inches. On the waistline, on the center, I came down by 5 inches to get our backs, and then I added 0.5 on I added 1.5 on the upper part of the shoulder. As you can see, this is for the to create the casing where our rope is going to pass through while we're making this dress. So instead of 1/2 inch I usually add, I add 1.5, so I'll be able to create a casing for our rope to pass through, because the shoulder of this dress is going to be ruched. Then on the waistline, I came out by 1/2 inch, and I'm going to be connecting from that point to make our neckline. This is for us to prevent a zipper bulge. Now I'm going to cut everything out. So this is the final look after I was done cutting. So now the way we did splash and spread for the upper parts or the yoke part of our front piece, we're also going to be doing the same thing for the back piece. So I'm going to divide it into 2 like this. Then I'm going to cut it out. So I use the same measurement that I used in the front also for the back, which was 7 inches, and I used my ruler. So this was the final look. The front piece, I just removed the old piece. So I also added 1.5 at the upper part of the front, as you can see, on the front yoke, like I did in the back. So now we're going to be using this now to cut on our main material. When I'm done cutting, I'll bring it and show you guys. So this was how it looked after I was done cutting it. So I added half an inch for attaching the yoke to the main bodies. I also have added half an inch on the base and also on the neckline. Then I added half an inch on the down part, and then this is how it looks like. And then for our skirt, I've also gone at the down part. So I multiply my waist by 4 to get the gather effect. You can multiply your waist by 5, 6, depends on how full you want. Okay, this is all for the drafting and cutting. See you in my next one.